What's happening, people? It is Wednesday night call, our TSL online call, our men's development excellence call that comes on every Wednesday. I want you guys to be a part of it. It's an amazing thing. But we're talking about living life and some of the rules to live life, the stories that we tell ourselves, which shackle us in the biggest ways. And this is important, man. This is why I am so passionate about men's groups, not because I get a lot out of them and I like running them. And that's been my business model for the last 8 years. The reason why I'm so passionate about them is because they help people in the greatest ways. And it ended up turning into Austin Men's Development, which is our free group. You can find out more about that on the free link down below if you're listening to this podcast or, on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever. Or if you're listening on YouTube, you could get that there. And then also on that free stuff link, you can get our free stuff, which is our PDFs that we designed by people within our groups that they're fucking awesome, man. Fucking do them. This isn't just like clickbait bullshit. This is stuff that we've worked as men looking to better our lives in terms of dating, perspective, health, all this sort of stuff. And we do it as a group every Wednesday night, every Sunday, all day, all night, man. This is our first recording of the night. And we've been going for 4 hours already. That's how fucking badass it is. Fucking badass. Oh, awesome day. So, guys, we don't just get born learning how to live life, right? We have the tools. I'm there with you on that, man. We're going to naturally come into our ambition, over time, over years. We're going to naturally come into our need to socialize. We're going to naturally come into our need to be sexual and all this stuff. But society and culture makes it this complex web. But how do we live in this society? How do we get happy? How do we start to work within all the different realms of, being okay in the workplace, being okay in relationships, being okay with our beliefs and shaping them. And we hear all this stuff, man. We hear all the self-help stuff. We hear a lot of guys like me. We might hear me say a bunch of great things, which hold us down throughout the day. But what actually is going to make us better? Because it's more than that. That's why we have calls like this. That's why, man, I'm moved, man. We've been talking about a lot of shit, like major depression. A lot of people talking about even suicide, talking about stuff with women in our beliefs, talking about just our beliefs and our ambition in how we're not making it in life and all these sorts of things. It's a complex deal. And it takes time for us to work into a place where we are finding success and we reverse those beliefs. But this is the important theme of this podcast. Is that if you're fucked, if you think you're fucked, if you're running into a wall, and whatever that is, and I get a lot of guys, of course, being a dating coach for the last 11 years, I get a lot of guys asking me about sex, relationships, dating, and so on. But this could be anything. This could be with addiction. That was the example that I brought up here because my journey and a lot of the answers I found came with exploring that and having those issues in my life. This could be with, not feeling good enough in your job or in your professional life or with your body or trying to lose weight or plateauing or whatever. Man, it was so funny because as this call was going on, I'm like, man, fuck it. I'm going to drink a Coke, which I never fucking drink. I'm going to eat a sandwich, which I never eat bread. And I'm just going to enjoy this goddamn call with these guys and bro out. But, the thing is that we build this belief up in our head, which tells us the opposite of that is going to work for us. So we always say pain shows us where the problem is, but it doesn't show us the solution. But if I feel inadequate, if I feel disempowered, if I feel shit on by women, if I feel like I can't get anywhere with my diet, if I feel like I have a disability and I've got to overcome it, I want to get strong. I want to get power. I want to dominate. I want to be better than. And this becomes the answer. And this is the mistake for so many men. We think that the opposite of our pain is going to solve our problems, and it does not. We think that the opposite of why we're sad is going to somehow get us the win. It's going to make us happy. We were just talking about this. There's a guy who's real depressed about women for months. And now he's on a tear, man. He's doing really well. He's flying all over. He has these women taking care of him. It's like it's really, really amazing. It's like he has had the last couple of weeks of experiences that he will talk about for the rest of his life and telling his grandkids and all that sort of stuff because it's just so good, right? But I was telling him, and as I have told myself, as I found out the hard way, that those are all great and those experiences shouldn't negate you from anything. But just because you have some superlative happy moments, that does not give you a buy to negate all the other things that cause that pain. that caused those problems, that made you not believe in yourself, that made you give up on yourself, that made you, man, fucking hate yourself for losing. And we know what that feels like. I mean, let's talk about it. Let's be real. You know, there's fucking 20 guys, you know, that have been interactive on this call tonight. And we're all talking about that. You know, that we give up on ourselves. We do feel weak when we fail. We get depressed at all different degrees when that happens. And that's what we got to deal with. You know, my loneliness and why that feels so dyingly painful when I'm going through it, that I need to reach out, that I need to get something, I need to get out of that pain, that makes me think that I could have more socializing and more sex, more control, more whatever. My loneliness tells me that. But see, the real thing is, and where we got to on a deep level on this call, is basically this, is where the real truth comes in, is when I can accept that. This isn't just some acceptance, Eckhart Tolle thing or some new wave, new age, whatever you want to call it thing. It's that I need to go, you know what? Man, when I get lonely and when I feel alone, I hurt more than I should. I panic. I get depressed. I get all this bad self-talk. I get all this, doubt within myself. More so now, I mean, and that still happens, but, after having a very rich sex life and working through those problems over the last, long time, decade plus, the things that I deal with mostly now have more to do with like family or with, being in a relationship or what does this mean? But when I feel pain, it causes me to do something. It causes me, one, to get out of that pain, which you got to do. But then two, it tells me, my pain tells me something. It tells me that no, I got to man up. I got to be smart. I got to be better. I got to make more money. I got to stand up for myself. I got to do whatever, all this sort of shit, right? And all those things are great. And those all could have benefits. But man, if I accomplish that, that doesn't give me a buy to look at where that pain or that other feeling comes from. And perhaps when I'm running through struggles in my life and I feel some, let's say, inadequacy, or let's say I feel something where I feel unworthy or I feel disrespected, one of the best things that I could do is to go, oh, man, this is the time where I feel disrespected. And why? Where's that coming from? That feeling that triggers me so much, that might be disrespect, inadequacy, sadness, loss, fear of being alone, all these different things that come up with such a heavy, powerful thing. They've been punching a time clock within me for many, many years. And just because they come to a head in this one situation doesn't mean that ending that situation is the entire solution. That's part of the solution. You shouldn't make your situations last. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that gaining power is bad. I'm not saying that whatever the opposite of your pain or the accomplishments that you might have had are bad. What I'm saying is you got to go, okay, you got to stop having the war within yourself. Man, all right, shit, I feel inadequate when this happens. Shit, man, I don't need to react to it. Or when I react in it, bad things happen. So it's not. I feel inadequate. I'm going to reach out to my boys. I'm going to call them up on the phone. I'm going to post on the boards. I'm going to express this and get it out of me. And then basically say things along the lines of like, all right, I'm going to let this pass because I know it passes. I never think it does. I always think isolation is the answer. I always think shit talking is the answer. I always think taking back my power is the answer, but I'm going to let it pass and I'm going to let it ride out. And here's what happens when that happens. And what we know from having a group like this, always interacting and always talking, is that what I know is that it turns into something else. That reaction of that pain is fueled by that other thing that's been punching that clock in me over and over and over again. And that clock needs to have a voice, or that punch card needs to have a voice, or whatever the metaphor is. And that punch card needs to be able to share what the real issue is within it. Man, we're born to be social. We're born to be sexual. We're born to be happy. We're born to be healthy. Everything in our body, in our minds, in our physiology, in our biology is meant to work in this way. You're not an exception to that. Even if you have a disability, even if you have depression, even if your brain's different, your body, mind, your everything, the stuff within you too, your purpose, your ambition was meant to work. It was meant to have its voice. Stop getting in the way of it. We have a very, very complex society. It's not going anywhere. We have a very complex culture, which is pulling us in all these directions that we weren't evolved or made to be in. But that's not an excuse either to hate on it in any sort of way. It's our job as you as a man, as you as a human being, to build your world around you so that it's good, right? You are made for this. And I truly believe that if you get into normal social functioning, we have tons of videos on that, normal sexual actions, we have tons of videos on that. And that doesn't mean what the status quo is on it, but your expression of sex, your expression of socializing, your expression of your purpose, that all these things stabilize and move into a state that works. So you always look for this quick fix. We always look for a technique. We always look for a trick. We always look for that. The answer's within you. Look at you. Look at you. Change you. Be real with you. Don't run from it. Don't think that the opposite of you is the win. Just because you feel like a loser, don't think that having to be a hero is what's going to make you something. No, because then you're just a guy walking around with more armor that's a pussy inside that can't assert yourself. You need to be okay with you. Put yourself out there in the world. Go have a conversation. Go have sex with people. If you can't do that, man, we have plenty of courses on that will help you out to get there, and a whole fucking community that will support you with it. If you don't have passion, put one foot in front of the other. Pick a point on the horizon of what you want to do and start taking actions towards it. There's a lot of shit that'll come up. But man, you got to be honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, if you're not able to truly examine who you are, to truly allow yourself to sit in that pain, then man, you don't deserve to have an ambition. You don't deserve to have a passion. You don't deserve to have a drive because you're willing to quit on it before just because of a little bit of pain, some obstacles coming your way. Man, that's not life. Man, the richness in life aren't the goals I achieved, but the richness in my life are what not getting those goals taught me and forced me to do while I still had the fortitude and passion and ambition to go for it. That's some beautiful shit. In any case, if you like this sort of stuff, subscribe to the Daily Awesome Podcast. Subscribe to the TSL Podcast. That's where we talk about sex. Daily Awesome. That's where we talk about stuff like this and whatnot. But more importantly, click that free stuff link down below. Don't be a stranger. Join Austin Men's Development. Tag me in a post. Talk to me. Build the dialogue. Don't just sit on the sidelines because it's your life, man. And this is what we do. Man, we buckle down. We buckle down, man. We talk. We get real. And we live a badass life. In any case, you have a good day. Thank you so much for listening, watching, and we'll talk to you soon.